Hey,
Hey.
and welcome to today's Chuku's Chat. And today we'll be talking to Abraham Adeyemi, award-winning writer, director, and playwright, and my mates. I'm a little bit gassed, gang. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about Abraham. In 2019, he was the winner of Soho House's global screenwriting competition, Script House, and he was awarded a grant to make his directorial debut and short film, No More Wings. Now, that was great already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At the same time, my guy was also having on stage at the Bunker in the theatre in London, his debut full-length play, All the Shit I Can't Say to My Dad. Levels. On top of that, so remember what I said, his directorial debut, No More Wings. Also went on to receive the Best Narrative Short Award at Tribeca Film Festival 2020. Hold the applause. And is now an Oscar qualifying film. That is who we're talking to today, guys. Abraham Adeyemi.
Well. What an honor.
Thank you for the introduction.
Have you?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Abraham, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. All things considered of what we're currently living through, I feel like I'm doing fine.
Cool.
Yeah. I miss having a haircut.
Yeah, I know the feeling. So today we're going to chop, chat, chill, obviously. We're going to chop, so we're going to talk a bit about food and things that nourish you. Then we're going to chat, we're going to talk about your special topic, your movie, I Can't Wait. Yes. And then we're going to just kick back, chill, talk about things around culture, music, travel, that sort of stuff. Is that cool?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, so let's chop. First question. If you were cooking for one of your heroes, who would you cook for?
Ooh.
What would you cook for them?
Ooh.
And why?
Big questions first up.
No pressure.
So, who would I cook for? What would I cook them, and why?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 questions.
3 questions.
1A, 1B, 1C, 1 mark.
So, the first person that comes to mind that I would cook for is Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United manager. No longer, but in my heart, he still is our manager. That's who I would cook for. What I would cook for them is sweet potato shepherd's pie, but I would cook that for anyone because it's my favourite dish to cook. And why? So that's the why on the dish, and why Alex Ferguson specifically. The first thing that came to my mind when you said who, and all these people started flying around in my head, but I think a lot recently I've been thinking about mortality, which is quite morbid. And, we're all going to die. And I think probably of all the people who I consider to be my heroes and things, he's the eldest of them. And I will be very sad if I don't ever get to meet him and just talk to him and talk to him about my experiences as a fan of the things which he played such a huge part in my life and in so many of my memories. So that's who I would just love to talk to and just get an insight into him as a human being. Like, I don't even know how much I would talk about football as opposed to just talking about life, because there's so much I know about him football-wise, whether it be from watching football, whether it be from reading his books, whether it be from reading interviews, watching interviews, and so on and so forth. So I would be really interested to just eat with him and talk life. And I think as well with elder people in general, there's a sense of wisdom and how much more of life they've seen and experienced and what you can take from that.
Yeah, like from a football fan, from a Liverpool fan, I would even respect Sir Alex Ferguson. He's literally a great of the footballing game. And as you say, not just from football, just about management. It'll be really interesting to speak with him. So yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Hopefully I can get an invite to the dinner if it happens. Yeah.
Even without, I'll take the shepherd's pie, mate.
So, Emeka, you can come as long as you don't wear a Liverpool shirt.
You know what? I won't. Happily.
Thank you.
Happily. Yeah. I will let them know I'm a Liverpool fan, though. We'll do that.
I would do the same with anyone else, so I understand.
So yeah, we wanted to know, what habit have you developed that energizes you?
What habit have I developed that energizes me? I think the first thing that comes to my mind is actually, do you know what? I was going to say going to the gym, but actually, no, it's not going to the gym. It's what I do after the gym, which is go to the sauna. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the gym, of course, scientifically and everything else definitely does energize me. But I think so much more. I love like when I go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, do my whole workout and whatnot, and then step into the sauna for about 20 minutes. And I feel really refreshed and restored to start my day. And that's a habit that I'm glad that I've picked up and religiously. If I do not go to the gym unless I have time to go to the sauna. So everyone always says to me, why do you take 2 hours in the gym? Like, do you work out for that long? I'm like, no, I work out for 1 hour. I spend a good 15, 20 minutes in the sauna and I take my time. So when I'm done in the sauna, I go into the shower. The shower's in my gym. I take my absolute time in the shower. I take my absolute time getting dressed. And so that's why I end up taking 2 hours. But it's just such a leisurely pace, my post-gym ritual, which is so different to my ordinary pace in life where I'm going around quite quickly. And so, yeah, that's the habit that I've implemented into my life.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's so important to get that that balance of like grind and then pamper at the same time. And like I can imagine actually where like, okay, going to the gym, you know it's going to be like hard graft, but no, you have that treat, and I think it's important to have like a treat which is also like as nourishing as the gym is, because like some people go and then they afterwards they're like, oh, like, they're going to treat themselves at McDonald's. I'm like, maybe that doesn't quite work.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. So I know you want to speak about your movie, and I really want to get into that chat as well. I haven't seen it.
I have.
Yeah.
Just say it. Just say it.
Oh, actually, why you was butting in? I haven't seen it. Yeah. So for someone who's not seen it, tell us about it. Describe it for us.
Cool. No More Wings is a short film set in the best fried chicken shop in London called Morley's, which is, of course, in South London. And it's about 2 childhood friends who they've grown apart. So they're meeting up in this chicken shop for a catch up. And the 2 of them have come here to meet up. And they've had very similar upbringings and experiences in life, but their lives have turned out completely differently. And yeah, it's a film that essentially explores how can 2 people who have such similar foundations turn out so differently in life. Like, how did they become so different? And is there any chance of them perhaps ending up back on the same path? And how do they still have a friendship when they're so different? And of course, the thing that's kind of keeps their friendship going is that they share this bond of, this is where we always catch up, in this chicken shop. Nice. So yeah, that's what No More Wings is about.
Nice. Do you have like a special place where you meet up with a certain friend or something like that?
I do. Let me think. I definitely do, because I'm a sentimental person. I'm just trying to think which friends I meet up with in what places. Do you know what? The first, no. Actually, do you know what? I've got a group of friends, and again, sadly, this then becomes morbid again and talking about morality. Hey, but I have a group of friends.
You of today's podcast, death.
I mean, you know, death is it can be I was going to say it can be positive. No, it can. Not in these circumstances, but it can. But I have a group of friends, and our routine was that we go to Morley, not Morley's is stuck in my head, that we go to Wetherspoons. That's our place that we drink and, you know, we get really drunk and have a really great time. And sadly, one of those friends in that group passed earlier this year. But that was our ritual, and we absolutely love Wetherspoons. Everyone judges us like, you know, Wetherspoons, really? But it's our thing. Like, you know, all we need is each other and the alcohol, and we're having a great time. And that's exactly what Spoons is for. It doesn't pretend to be anything else than what it is. So, yeah.
So when it comes to the film, like, I know you're a massive music head. Why did you choose the songs that appeared in the film?
Okay. So there were 3 songs in the film. One was an instrumental by P2J, and it's called Hands in the Air. So anyone who grew up in London, but especially South London, would be familiar with the song Hands in the Air, and I used the instrumental for that. I used a song called Top Striker by a new duo called Blase and Luxo, and the final song I used was Wretch 3-2's song Cycle. And so with those 3 songs, I'll start with Hands in the Air, where I used the instrumental, and the characters in the film, there's 2 characters in the film, which is where the film is set in the mid-noughties. And one of them is an aspiring rapper, or at the time he's an aspiring rapper. And because of that, it was really important to me that the instrumental that was used in the film was something that, for anyone who is familiar with this environment and this period in time and era, would recognize that instrumental and be like, oh yeah, that's from that time, and it instantly takes you back there and makes you feel just nostalgic. So that was important to me. With Top Striker, that was important to me because the character, as well as having rap ambitions, he has football ambitions. And the song Top Striker, it's a drill song, I guess I would call it. And it's what it says on the tin. It's about football, and it's really witty and really punny. And so again, for me, I thought there was something special about having this song in the soundtrack where it's someone who once had rap ambitions and had football ambitions, and it's a song that combines the 2. And with Wretch 3-2 Cycle, which I was so happy that we got, I mean, all 3 of these songs, I was over the moon that we got permission to use them, but I think Wretch's song meant the most to me for a couple of reasons, which is, I remember, I think it might have happened whilst I was either on set I think it was whilst I was on set, and I was just thinking about that song, and I was like, oh my God, this would be the perfect song for this film. Like, the song absolutely encapsulates the film, and something that was actually quite magical, and I probably didn't realize it for quite a while. But I then remembered that when I first heard that song in the mid-noughties, because the song came out in maybe 2006, it was one of the characters is inspired by a friend, and it was that friend who introduced me to this song. And so I thought, like, to me, I was like, this was so special, and it was so meant to be. And so when Wretch's team came back and said, yep, you can use it, and I was so over the moon. And so it was, they were really conscious decisions for me because I love music. And so, and it's weird because the film has music written into the script, but none of the songs are mentioned in the script. And so to me, to have actually, one, decided what songs to use, but also that we got our first choice for every single song, that was amazing for me. And I think it works so well in the film.
You so you kept talking about like the early noughties and that affecting your song choices. What were you like in the early noughties?
Well, I would go with early mid-noughties. So what was I like? Oh God, I was in
honestly,
school.
Honestly.
You know what?
What's the right answer?
Okay, let's say if we were to ask my teachers, I talked too much. I was cheeky. Definitely overstepped the mark a lot. I had too much energy as well. I had so much energy, but I think I was just very, very lippy and very, very cheeky and very outspoken as well. And actually, something my mum always says about me growing up is she always talks about how, when they'd call her into school and I'd be in trouble, there was 2 things that would always come up. One, that they'll say I did something, and I would be like, yeah, I did do it. Like, there's no lying or denying it. Like, I'm very honest and say I did it. But I will also tell you why I did it. Like, as in, yes, I did this thing, but there's a reason why I did it. And yeah, I wouldn't say, I was trying to justify it. Like, yeah, I did this because this person did this. And then the other thing my mum always says as well is that I just fight other people's battles. Like, so again, they'd call her into school, and you want to know why it happened. I was like, because this person did this to my friend and I wasn't going to have it. Like, yeah. So I've always really cared about my friends, and I'll be the first one to stand up for someone, to defend them, to fight like it's my battle and war. So those were the things about me, I think, in the early and mid noughties that I would say I was.
Cool.
Yeah, just coming back to No More Wings. I really just wanted to know about like how it was you going through this like film festival, and then obviously being like shortlisted. How did you get onto it? How were you feeling? Obviously, when you found out as well.
Yeah. Which bit are we talking about? Are we talking about Tribeca, or are we talking about script houses in the competition, or are we talking about both of those things, the entire journey?
I was talking about Tribeca, but like all of it would be
the journey.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, the whole journey is like repetitions of the same thing in terms of just me constantly being shocked that something's happened. So when I won the competition to get the funding for the film, being shocked that I'd won, and being shocked that even though I entered a competition knowing that if I won, I would have to direct the film, still being shocked, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to direct a film. I've never been to film school. I've never wanted to direct. I've never like read a book about directing or anything like that. And in 10 weeks, I'm going to have to be able to do this thing. Like, I don't deal with failure. So there's no plan B. I've got to do that. And then, getting selected for Tribeca, honestly, was just, that was something else. And there was such a crazy journey for me with submitting to Tribeca. Like, for example, Tribeca was the very first festival we submitted to, and that was because one, we went really over budget with the film, and so the first thing we had to do was make that money back on the projects and pay what needed to be paid. And as a result of that, we had no money to submit into film festivals. So our film was ready by September, but we couldn't submit it anywhere until maybe December, I think, once we had money. But Tribeca, we were actually able to submit to because one of the judges on the Soho House competition is the head programmer for Tribeca's short films. And so I got in touch and I was like, hey, we went really over budget on our film. Would you give us a fee waiver? She said yes. And so that's special in itself, because if not for that, we wouldn't be here talking about this right now. But to actually have then been selected was mind-blowing, because when having been in this industry for a while as a writer, but being in and around it and having the experience, when people advise you about festivals, they tell you, number one, apply to loads of festivals and don't just apply to the top ones. And when you're applying to the top ones, like, be prepared to not get into them. And my strategy was, I actually only applied to top festivals, which is similar to what I'd been advised to do. But what people say is basically, in your first year, just apply to top festivals. If you don't get into them, then in the next year, kind of go a tier down and a tier down. But for me, I was never thinking about it. I was just like, well, we're going to apply for all the top ones. Hopefully we'll get in to at least one, not knowing that we would get into one of the best ones in the world on the very first attempt, the first festival we submitted to. So I couldn't believe that. I then went and read, when it got actually announced, I then discovered that No More Wings was the only British short that was selected out of 32 short films. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. And so many people in the industry who were far more experienced than me kept making a big deal. Like, you don't realize how big a deal Tribeca is. Like, it's not easy to get into Tribeca. And me, I'm just like, this is amazing regardless. And then, firstly, you find out that it's in competition, so nominated for Best Short. And you think, and again, everyone tells you that's amazing. But at no point, at least for me, do I allow myself to start imagining that I would win it, because one, I'm very competitive. And so if I allowed myself to think about that and then I lost, I'd have been really upset. And for me, I was like, well, actually, I'm just so happy and proud that the film got selected. And that in itself is a massive achievement. And that will always mean something to me. And so when I found out I won, oh, man. Listen, like, I don't have the words. Like, it was so, I thought they were pranking me. I thought it was a joke. Because the way they set it up was, they got in touch with me asking me to, what did they ask me to do? They asked me to prepare for like a red carpet moment and prepare a speech. But the way the email was written, that it seemed like they were getting everyone to do this. And so I've done everything they've asked me to do. So I'm wearing a suit and a bow tie. No, I didn't wear a bow tie. Wearing a suit and a tie in my room. Got the do-rag on because, you know, I'm not filming nothing with my hair looking a mess. And I've written a speech, but even then, I'm still thinking, I'm writing this speech, and in my opinion, it was a really good speech, but I'm still thinking, how am I even going to deliver this speech with the real vim that it needs? Because, you know, I wouldn't have known if I'd won. And so we get on the call and everything, and we get to the point where Pamela, who was one of the judges, the first part is that I get on the call and there's judges there, and I'm confused. I haven't realised they're the judges yet, but I can just see all these people whose faces I don't recognise, and I'm looking for the person who I'm expecting to be in this call, and she's not there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to let these people talk at me and whatever. And then I see one of the names, which was a director called Casey Lemons, and I'm like, I know this name. I think she's one of the judges. I think she directed Harriet, and I'm thinking, why is she in this call? But because I can see all the faces of the other people, I see their faces, don't recognize their faces. And so I'm just thinking, okay, well, I don't know why she's here, but whatever, we'll figure it out. It quickly transpires that all of the people in the call are the judges. And one of them arrived in the call late, and they were the last ones to arrive. And then Pamela says, right, so now that everyone's here, just to let you know, Abraham doesn't know yet. And I was like, sorry, what? And she goes, Abraham, you are this year's... And I'm just there like, I mean, we've all seen the reaction video, and even then I was still waiting for them to, like, when they first said it, all that was going through my head was, oh, they're saying this so that they can get the authentic reaction, so if I do win, they've got that on camera. And then as we're still there and they're like trying to convince me I've won, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's because they want me to give a speech and my speech to have the real vim that it would have if I'd... And yeah, and as the minutes passed, I think I'm just like, oh my God, they're not lying. I've actually won this. And I was just absolutely blown away. And like I said, it's just all been the experience of this film over the last, I think, 14 months, I guess it's been now. It's just been shock after shock of, I can't believe I directed something. I can't believe I directed something that I think is good. I can't believe I've directed something that people think is good. I can't believe more and more. And it's crazy because I always say to people that I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to have to direct again, which I look forward to and I'm really excited to do. But I'm just like, wow, I'm going to have to do this again. And I think that might be a good thing because I like the idea of, like, I feel like I'm quite a confident writer and I really believe in my ability and talent, and I'm kind of in autopilot when I'm writing. Whereas directing, I have to think a lot, and there's definitely uncertainty and nervousness. But actually, I feel really good about that because I've always loved learning, so I'm enjoying that I'm learning something new. I'm also enjoying that I'm having something that's keeping me on my toes in a way that writing doesn't, where I could actually mess it all up, and that feels weirdly exciting. And yeah, it's been crazy. I still can't believe that. I can't believe that. Again, like I said, the first time, the first festival, and it becomes Oscar qualifying. Like, that's insane. I can't believe that I'm in a place where my film is going to be considered by the Academy for whether it should be nominated for Best Short Film. Yeah, that's mental.
I've just got, before we move on from the film, you mentioned it was the only British film. It's arguably it's very niche, right? It's in the South London chicken shop. That's niche. That's a pretty niche. But what is it about the film that you think actually captured the judge's attention?
Well, do you know what? I'll say one thing, and they told me this in the phone call, but I still didn't believe it until it was then said in an email to me. So one of the judges, Casey, emailed me the next day, and she showered all this praise in the film, and she said to me that when she was watching the film, or all 32 films, she just kept talking to her husband about this one film, obviously being No More Wings, and she said to me that never did she imagine. So for context, Casey's a black woman, and she's the only one of the 5 judges who was black American, and she said to me, never did she imagine when she was watching all these films and thinking that this film was the standout that she was going to get to the judges and every single person would all be thinking it was the #1 film. And the reason I bring that up is because to answer the question of what it is that people like or love about it, is that I think it's a really universal story in that these are, you know, with the two characters, to give more context to the story for people who haven't seen it, is these are two people who, one has turned out incredibly successful in terms of his career in a corporate world, whilst the other one has kind of spent his 20s, I guess, tripping over and over again, and never quite tripping over and falling from, like, kind of allowing the wind to blow him wherever life takes him, rather than being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being definitive and being strategic isn't the word. There's a word that I want to say and it's just not coming to me. But let's go with definitive for now. Like being intentional. There we go. He hasn't been intentional with anything that he's done in his life for long enough for it to have an impact. And so we're meeting at this point where he's not quite met his potential. And so many people who have watched this film to me always say, I have a friend like that. And I think that's what really gets people, is that knowing that you can grow up with people and you have all these amazing memories and moments with them growing up, and then through one reason or another in life, things change, and that person, yeah, you don't grow in the same way. And you don't necessarily have to grow in the same way and still remain, and to be able to remain friends. But I think the difficulty is that when the growing is so much in a different direction, and also you still have that love for that friend, but also there's the feeling that friend has, which is kind of self-conscious, like they feel like they're being judged. They feel like, because, and essentially it's an insecurity which they have to deal with, because whilst they could be right, so often that person is wrong. Like, you love the people you love. It's like we all have the family members who drive us up the wall, but they're family, and because of whatever good they held in your life once upon a time that is long lasting, nothing can compete with that. And it's the same with those long lasting friendships. Like, even when that person's gone, that you still love them, and actually all of this stuff in life, like the jobs, the career, the house, the family, and all the pretty things don't actually matter that much. But you need you want that person to understand that, because that's how you can have that with them. So I think I think that's what a lot of people connect with, is just this really just real and honest and hearty friend love between these two friends, and knowing that those bonds last forever, regardless of what happens in your career and in your life and how people turn out. You'll still always love those people.
So we know that you work a lot and taking time out isn't really your strong point, but now we're going to do the chill.
Yes.
If you could travel to any city in the world, where would it be and why?
Do you know what's funny? I had an answer in advance and now I've forgotten what it was. However, I'm going to pick the first city that comes to mind, which is Medellin in Colombia. I absolutely love Medellin. I went 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago. And I mean, there were two places I could have picked, which was Medellin or Seville in Spain. And I would pick them both for the same reasons, which is just, one, beautiful weather, two, such a leisurely pace of life. Like I love all sorts of holidays, whether it's the busy and chaotic one, whether it's really like touristy, whether it's relaxed. But I think I will always, my number one is probably just being relaxed, but in, I guess in a metropolis, but not a metropolis to the extent of New York or London or Paris or Madrid and the big capitals that we think of, but somewhere that's just more laid back. And I think the weather definitely contributes to that. And just being at ease with life, like that's just what I love. And that's where I would love to be, in Medellin right now. And just, I mean, I say right now, if it wasn't Corona. And just, yeah, I really, really loved Medellin, and that's where I'd pick. Like, I would, if Medellin wasn't so far away, I think I would love to live there. And the only reason I couldn't is because it's so far away from I guess the norms of my life, whether that be my friends and family in the UK and that being, I can't remember how many hours away it is, but you have to fly to Florida first, which is, I don't know, maybe 8 hours or something, and then another flight. So I think it's 11 in total. And equal, yeah. But yeah, I would love to go or be in Medellin right now. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. I would encourage everyone to go there. Actually, Medellin's nickname is it's the city of eternal spring. And it's because the weather is like spring all year round.
I'm going there now.
Yeah, I definitely want to go to Colombia, 100%. But yeah, do you think like you would try and find that Medellin like closer to home if you did want to like move away, or is it like Medellin or London?
I think my Medellin closer to home is Seville, and I mean that would require me to, in the future when I'm married and all of that, to be able to convince my partner to do that. But yeah, I think Seville would be my Medellin closer to home. I really, really love Seville. Went there in 2013, went back again in I can't remember what year, maybe 2014. It might have been the year after. But yeah, I really, really adore. It was 2014. It was the year there was a World Cup that year. And we watched the World Cup final in Seville. Yeah, Seville was beautiful. Seville's stunning. Like I love, do you know what? My love is that I love anywhere that you can just walk everywhere. Yeah. I'm a big walker, as if he knows, because I walk to your house to say happy birthday. But I love walking. I always have, and so cities where I can just walk make me really happy. So Seville was probably the closer to home version of Medellin for me. It's also a Spanish speaking city as well. So yeah.
Nice. So we're gonna wrap up soon, but I've got just like one more question I wanted to ask. So if you had a theme song for your life, what would it be?
Again, another question which I thought of the answer and I've forgotten it. I'm gonna give, I mean, me being me, I'm gonna give more than one song and you're gonna have to accept that. And also I'm gonna give an answer which isn't the question you're asking me, but I'm still gonna give it. And so wait and see. So the first song that comes to mind is, it has to be a Kanye West song. And the Kanye West song, a few come to my mind. I think, I really want to, so I mean, we're going to talk about more than one song, but with Kanye, I really want to give one song and be disciplined. And that one song would be, it could have so easily been a Drake song though. Sorry guys, this is difficult for me. Like, you ask me music questions, my goodness. The Kanye song that keeps coming to my mind is, I think it's Champion. Yeah, I think it's Champion. Oh, no, I'm changing song. So, okay, there was Kanye Champion, there was Kanye Glory, there was Kanye Ultralight Beam. But actually, I think, especially with recent events in my life, and actually, this beat was produced by Kanye West anyway, but it was Rick Ross, Tears of Joy. And that song is just like really spiritual to me. Like on the chorus, he goes, "What did I do to deserve this?" And yeah, I think so many of the moments in my life, the positive moments, Tribeca, like it's just such a tears of joy moment. And those tears come from such pain, in that I know how much it's taken me to get where I am and all the things I achieved. Like, I know how much I've suffered, I know how much I've been through, and so as much as the chorus goes, "What did I do to deserve this?" on one hand, I actually feel like, yeah, I know what I did to deserve this. I worked really hard. But the other song which I said doesn't answer your question, but I think is a really important song to me that I always say I want played at my funeral, is oh, here we go, Death Again, right?
I was thinking that. I was going to say
is J. Cole's song Farewell, which is the last song on his Friday Night Lights mixtape. And it's because of the first verse, which for me is so beautiful. And I don't know it off head, but in this first verse, he's asking, what will they say about me when I die? And then, yeah, for example, he goes, will they say I was a sinner, or will they say I was a saint? And then when he wraps up this verse, he says, I was all of those things. I just want them to know that I was nothing but a man. And for me, that summarizes at least me, and I think it should summarize everyone, but especially me, in that I'm not perfect. Like, you know, there's a lot of amazing things and wonderful things about me, but also I've failed in many aspects of my life. I've hurt people. I've let people down. I'm still going to mess up. I'm probably going to say if my career trajectory kind of keeps going as it is, at some point I'm probably going to say something stupid that I shouldn't have said, and it will blow up. I mean, touch wood, that won't happen, but hey, I'm just a man, and so I can and I will make mistakes. And yeah, those are songs that I think really summarize me as my theme tunes of life. Yeah.
Thank you. I absolutely love that.
Man, that was so good. I want to keep talking. Honestly, Abraham, it was such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for
chatting.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Before we wrap up, did you want to add anything else? Tell our people anything else?
I would just say, if you've enjoyed this and you want to stay abreast of my journey, follow me on socials. I'm Abe is Legend, because we are constantly speaking prophecies into our life. So you can find me, Abe is Legend, on Twitter, on Instagram. If you want to keep up with things I'm doing, that's how to see it. That's what I've got for the people.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you.
Abe is Legend. Thank you very much.
Take care.
You're welcome.